live at the pit. This is Marty Watts with ProView Networks, and I'm with the head football coach for Valley Vikings, Judge Chavis. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
And this is the Chavis family here. As you probably don't know, Judge is related to his brother Larry. He has the Dream Style company name here. But you've been following these Valley Vikings basketball team, and tell me what kind of run they're having right now.
Well, Valley's had a rich tradition of basketball. Going back to when the school was first built, it's always been kind of a basketball school. And, Joe Coleman's one of those coaches, he doesn't really believe in being ready to win the whole thing in October and November. So it's no surprise to me that where we're at now, because Joe's teams tend to play their best ball at the end of the season, going in the district tournament, and then getting into the state tournament. And I think that's really evident as of this year. We have a real close game. In fact, Heinan missed a layup at the end of regulation, which if they had won that game, we wouldn't even be here. So, a lot of times in order to win a state championship, you've got to be good and you've got to be lucky. And we got to break that night. And then, of course, we got to play against a 6-time defending state champion, Hope. And our kids played extremely hard and got a win there. And then we got a lead yesterday, kind of a big lead going in the fourth quarter, and let it slip away. But Joe got the kids going, and Joe's got a great staff. So many times when you talk about a coach, someone who's been so successful like Joe has, they tend to get too much of the credit. And that goes on with every good coach. Behind every good coach are some great assistants, and he's got 2 extremely good assistants in Easy Panas and in Mario Chavis. Mario played for Joe some time back, and Easy's been with Joe for, I think, 20 years now. So as a staff, they do a great job, and Joe's a great leader. Born and raised in the Valley, a superstar at Valley back in his days, and I believe it's 21st year as a head coach. And
didn't he win the state title in
2014, they won it all, in fact.
And they got to the finals before that.
I think he's been in the finals a couple times, to tell you the truth, through the years.
Valley's first state title was 1965, led by his brother, Larry Chavis.
Yes, I was.
Guyman and Oaks.
I was 6 years old back then, and I remember being in Johnson Gym and watching that game. And actually, Guyman and Oaks were sophomores on that team. They had a guy by the name of Larry Jones and James Cristanelli, Eli Padilla, Smiley Martinez. That was the group that was on that team.
And they beat Roswell.
Yes, they did. They did.
And Roswell was kind of like undefeated going into that tournament, and you knocked them off.
I'm not sure if they were undefeated, but they were favored to win the whole thing. We were not supposed to win it. And like I said, I was 6 years old. I remember sitting in Johnson Gym with my dad and my brothers and my mom, and what a great experience it was for.
And that game was on television on Channel 13, black and white.
I don't remember that, but I do remember sitting in the stands.
That was the last year they had the state championship they had it one more year later, but 65 was one of the last years they had at Johnson Gym.
Well, at the time, that was the place to play, and it was a great day for the Valley Vikings.
So the Valley's been there before. The North Valley's been a hotbed for basketball, and of course you as a football coach, you're developing. If you don't know, Judge was the head coach of Highland High School. He's got to the semis a couple times.
Oh, about 8 times.
Times.
Unfortunately, the bridesmaid all the time. We can't quite get to that.
And that one year when you lost to Las Cruces Mayfield, when you're head coach of Cibola, that was a good football team.
Yeah, I've been associated with some really good football teams, and we had a lot of great athletes and great assistant coaches, and we've had a lot of success. Unfortunately, we've never been able to get to that state championship game, but I'm still coaching again, and so hopefully we'll get a chance to do that someday.
I'll tell you, before I die in my lifetime, it would be one of the greatest things that ever happened in North Valley, and everybody would be hanging out, be hung over at Sadie's for 5 days if the Vikings can win the state title.
Wow.
And I think now, since you're now at 4A, is it 5A for football?
5A, it's football.
So that's probably, since the enrollment's down to 1,000 kids, that's probably you got a chance, you could probably win it at 5A.
Well, you still got Artesia, you've got Roswell, you've got Roswell Goddard. It's not like we're going to be in 4A and all just walk through the whole state. Artesia's won 30 state championships and one of the premier programs in the state of New Mexico. And Roswell's been very good, for the last 30, 40 years. And this year they happened to win the state championship. We lost to them in quarterfinals. And Roswell Goddard's always very good. So there's still quality football. Don't get, mistaken where you're going to play a classification down and just walk through the classification, win state championship. There's still quality football teams.
Now, for a fact, You are, how many games have you won as the head coach?
I'm actually at 142 right now.
So of the current 5A coaches that are coaching day, has anybody won 142 games?
I'm not quite sure that, in order to win that many games means you got to do it a long time. And I've been at it a long time. And, that next generation of coaches are coming up. So there's a lot of young coaches. So I'm not quite sure if there's anybody been there. But, there's a lot of quality coaches at all classifications. I think sometimes coaches in lower classifications don't get enough credit, but they do a great job. I've been coming to the state basketball tournament for 50 years probably, and you see some of those single A, double A schools, and those kids are really well coached, and those coaches don't get enough credit because most of them come from small towns and they don't get a whole lot of exposure through the media, through the newspaper or TV. And I think there's a lot of coaches across the state that work extremely hard and do a great job who people don't really know who they are.
Coach, people don't realize how popular you are. You are the president of the New Mexico Coaches Association, right?
I have been the president of the New Mexico High School Coaches Association.
And folks, if you've never met Judge, all you have to do is walk around the pit, and every 2 minutes, 20 coaches come up and talk to him. I mean, obviously, if you ran for some office here, you get reelected pretty easily.
Well, my mom jokes that I should run for governor sometime, but
well, really, I think so. But I never met a guy more popular. The first time I ever got to know Judge, I was trying to get Siebel to play rugby. I still think if you can get kids, football players playing rugby with that rugby tackling, I think it would make them better players. But the biggest problem at the high school level is you only have so many kids for track and field and other sports. Sure. It's very thin. And, and now I always thought if you just lift weights Monday, Wednesday, Friday, play rugby Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you could have a pretty good team. But the big problem is numbers at Valley.
Well, when you've got 1,000 kids, you got to share athletes. And we really encourage our kids to play multi-sports. We've got a couple playing on the varsity basketball team. We have several that were in the wrestling program. We've got a bunch of them in our track program because Mike Padrell, our head track coach, is also assistant football coach. We've got probably 5 or 6 in the baseball program. So when you got a school of 1,000 kids, your athletes need to play multiple sports in order for all of us to be competitive.
And it's tough. And a lot of those kids, but I always say that if you can get that program to the point where you can get them in the finals, and one of my days before I die, I got to see you in the finals to win it.
Well, it'd be great. We got into the playoffs last year, and our goal now is that we've gotten to the playoffs to every year be a playoff team. So we'll see what's happening. What's going on behind us, Mark?
Well, we've got the end of the third. Well, we've got the end of the third quarter. 36. Santa Fe Indian, St. Mike's 29. We got a hell of a game.
That's a great game and a great crowd. Look at the people that came out to support Santa Fe Indian. This gym, the arena.
You got to believe this. This is 3A basketball, and there's almost 8,000 people here.
Well, that's great. That's a great thing about the state basketball tournament. The towns come out and support their team and their schools. Some of these places, there's nobody home. There's nobody, when Gallup comes here, there's nobody in Gallup. When Espanola is here,
I just saw the mayor of Pecos, Teddy.
Oh, well, there you go. They've got a team in the finals, boys and girls.
Teddy just told me they just put up a billboard. Last person leaves Pecos, turn out the lights.
There you go, because they're awfully proud of their teams, and they got both their boys and girls in the finals. So that's a great thing for Pecos.
So, and this is what makes New Mexico unique. Judge, where else in the United States where we have the mixture of the Hispanic culture, the Native Americans, and we have we have a mixture that probably few states never have.
Well, we do. We got a little bit of everything, and I think that's great for for a place to live, a place to grow up, so that there are other cultures, and you get to know the other cultures. And at one time I coached at Highland High School, and we were a melting pot. We had about 16 different nationalities there, and it was great because there was no prejudice. Kids just looked at everybody else as another kid. They didn't care what color they were or where their background was, and they played side by side with each other, and it's just a great thing. And that's what's so great about the state of New Mexico.
Where I grew up by Winrock, Tommy Jewell, who was the first African American judge, and then Stanley Whitaker.
Yes.
They all grew up in my Northeast Heights.
And they were both great athletes themselves.
And they all went to law school, and there weren't that many African Americans in my neighborhood, but they went on and become some really big-time
very successful
judges.
people, yes.
And we've had that. Of course, all the people. Look at your brother. Your brother is one of the most successful business ventures in the whole state of New Mexico, right?
Well, we're very proud of my brother. You know, he's an extremely hard worker. He's been like that since, you know, he's 12 years older than me. And what a great role model to have him and my other brother who are 10 years older. You know, they taught me the thing of working hard. Of course, our father instilled that in all of us. But, you know, just watching my brother work extremely hard and to see how successful he is, and then to have the pit in the football stadium named after Dream Style, you know, it's very, very nice for our family, and very proud of our brother and my mom of her son to have the stadium named after his business. And that comes through a lot of hard work. And you know, your brother told me that to be a champion, are you willing to pay the price to do things that nobody else wants to do? Well, I've traveled with him before, and he's up till 1 o'clock on that computer, and we get up early in the morning, and he's on that computer. And you know, in order to be successful, you've got to work hard, and he's the prime example of a man who he's a workaholic. I believe he's 70, 71 years old now. Oh, yeah. I don't see him quitting anytime soon. And it's not about making money. It's just about working hard. He's just a workaholic and loves to do things. Now, is he going to be here tomorrow for the Valley Vikings? It's funny. I was having breakfast this morning. He called and said, I just want to make sure. He said, the game's at 4 o'clock. I said, yes, it is. He'll be here. We've had the same seats for 40 years, right behind the visitors' bench over here. And, yeah, he will be here tomorrow rooting for the Valley Vikings. You know, if you go to his office, one of his proudest pictures of him on that state team, him and the point guard. Well, you know, the great thing about being a state champion is that you can never take it away from somebody. You take it to the grave. You know, this was 1965 when he was 17, 18 years old, and you know, that's many, many years ago, and he's as proud of that now as he was back then. And that's what's great for these kids. Every year there are state champions crowned, and it never goes away. You take it to your grave, and it's not an easy thing to do. You know, I've been around some very, very good football teams, and we just can't quite win the whole thing. And like I said earlier, you've got to be very good, and you've got to be very lucky. You got to stay injury-free. You got to get a break here and there, and you know, things have got to roll your way. And it's happening down here all this whole weekend. There's been some great games, several overtime games. The West Mesa girls game yesterday was just a great game. And then, of course, last night we had the Atrisco Heritage and Cleveland Storm game, which was another nail-biter. And I watched the game this morning, and Pecos and Tatum, that went into overtime. So it's been a great state tournament. You know, in 1968, I was a sophomore at Sandia High School. I dressed out in the state championship game. It's been over 50-some years. I'm 66, and I remember that game like it was yesterday, even though we played at Bulldog Bowl and we got beat 40-0, Coach. That was a long bus trip back to Albuquerque, and we left town as heroes and came back as goats. But even though I didn't win the state title, it's a game you never forget. Oh, you never do. You know, I heard Tom Brady say when they lost the Super Bowl 2 years ago, he said you can't lose if you're not in it. You know, right. So you got to be in it. And of course, when you lose a championship game, you know, I've been a part of a state championship as an assistant when I was at Highland. But when you do lose, even in the playoffs, you know, you forget about all the success you've had till about a week later, a couple of weeks later, when all the misery's gone of losing the game, and you look back and you realize what a successful year you've had. And I was up in the hospitality room last night, and the Volcano Vista basketball staff walked in, and I told them, congratulations, you guys had a great year. And they were very disappointed, but like I said, in a week or so, they're going to be proud of their success. They won 20-something basketball games. They had a great, great season, and those kids will remember that. Well, you know, Coach, let's take a break, and we'll come back and talk more sports. We'll come back in a couple minutes, and we'll finish the segment up. Sounds great.
What is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am?
Dang, this one made me feel all special.
What is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am?
Dang, this one made me feel all special.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every ProView Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProViewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best.
The service department at Gala Chevrolet is clean, modern, and ready for you. Our master technicians service every make and model, including certified service on any GM vehicle. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Gala Chevrolet.
All right, folks, we're back here at the pit. My guest is Marvin Automatic Johnson, known as Marvin Johnson, one of the greatest players ever played for the University of New Mexico. He played for Norm Ellenberger, one of those great teams of Michael Cooper.
Michael Cooper, Willie Howard, Mark Felix, Jimmy Allen, Steve Davis, the guy, that runs this operation. Yeah.
And Marvin still holds the record for the most points ever scored in a college game, 50 points.
Right, 50 points, yeah.
50 points.
Yeah, in fact, that year, I actually broke the record in December, Ben Monroe's record, and then I came back and set it 2 months later in March. So it was. I didn't realize that someone told me that. And
I was here that night. I was here. I was sitting with the student section. I remember seeing that game. But we got Marvin here today at the state tournament. Marvin does a lot for our community, and he has a basketball program called Southwest
Basketball. Exactly. Yep.
Now, this is very important. If you're watching this show live or on Facebook, I want to make sure that we tell them what phone number to get a hold of you, or where they can go to the website. But you've got leagues. Why don't you tell about the leagues going on?
I just got from our camp. We had a spring break camp this week, doing APS spring break. So we do camps, leagues, and tournaments, and personal one-on-one training with players. Our next league, which is for ages 5 to age 17, it's going to start next weekend, March 23rd. It's an 8-week program, and the cost is $157. And we stress the fundamentals of basketball, sportsmanship, and most of all, having fun.
So, what's the age group again?
Ages 5 to age 17. It's a co-ed program.
Now, girls and boys can join, and you know what? What a great way if you've got a young sister. The girls progress fast when they're playing with the boys at a young age.
I think up to about middle school, girls, they can play. We have girls in our league up to age 13, 14, and then after that, then they probably should get with girls. But they can learn a lot playing with the boys at a young age. They sure can. Yep,
now,
absolutely right.
What I've seen from your school, these girls they're pure basketball players.
Yeah.
These girls fundamentally are sound.
They are, yeah. And we're not just for elite athletes. We cover all students. In fact, most of the students come to us just want to come and learn a little bit about basketball, have some fun, pick up some skills, and understand the game better. And we have from competitive, real competitive, all the way down to beginners. So it doesn't matter what your skill level is, we can take you to the next level.
Now, what gyms do you play at?
This current season coming up, we're going to play at Christine Duncan Academy, which is on the west side at 1900 Trisco Way Northwest. We also play at Harrison Middle School.
Okay.
And we play at Jimmy Carter Middle School.
Now, what's the phone number if they want to call right now? And we'll go real slow so you can write it down.
Yeah. It's 505-710-7005.
Say it again.
505-710-7005.
Now, if they want to go to a website and look it up, where they go?
They go to swbbcamp.net.
swbbcamp.net.
It sounds. And it gives it gives a lot of background on me, our program, and we have an affiliation with Junior NBA. So we're Junior NBA certified. I mean, that doesn't mean that NBA players are going to show up at our programs, but we have a system that we have to run and a standard that we have to keep And so we're a part of the junior NBA.
And you could Google Southwest basketball camp, and
It'll come up. It'll come up,
and
right?
You could Google that. Now, what is the cost to get in the league?
The cost for the 8-week program is $157, and if you sign up before 2 weeks before the league starts, you get a $22 discount. It'd be like $135, but that's kind of past. But
so that's comes out to what, $25 a week?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Now, can you imagine, people, you're watching this show? Can you imagine being able to get in a basketball camp for $25 a week? That's a take-home. That's going out to dinner and taking home food, right?
Right.
So for $25 a kid per week, 8 weeks, they can learn from one of the greatest players of all time, Marvin Allen and Magic Johnson. And how many coaches do you have with you?
Yeah. Well, we have the players can come to us. You can bring a team, or you can come as an individual, which we call a free agent, and we'll find a team and a coach for you. And we think we do the best job in the state of New Mexico as far as getting kids ready for basketball for high school, or just getting them training for learning to just want to go out and play socially with their friends. How our league works is we practice right before the kids play, so they practice and then they can use their skills right away. And we've also found we used to do practice, play games on weekends and have practice during the weeks. But with families as busy as they already have more than one child, they can't get to the practice during the week. We'd get only, like, out of 10 kids, we'd get, maybe half would show up during the week. So while the kids are there for the game, we practice them 30, 40 minutes before, and they play then.
What I love about your camp, and this is something that people never understand, the key of basketball is having fun.
Having fun.
When you and I were growing up, we woke up and we wanted to have fun playing the game.
That's right, yeah.
And I think a lot of these schools, they're so serious.
They're too serious.
Will Rogers says you got to have a serious streak in you to see the funny side of people. If they take their life too serious, they become funny.
That's true. That's true.
You go to Marvin's camp, the kids are having fun.
We absolutely, we have fun, and the kids learn.
Why would you want to go to camp where it's so serious? But you can learn by having fun. You want to get up the next day and still play. We actually instill good. I look at our program and I look at myself as a basketball ambassador. So we want to have. It's really a war out there for kids in sports. Football is trying to get kids. Soccer is trying to get kids in their sport. So we're trying to expand the base of basketball in New Mexico, and we have fun, learn, and work hard. I'm telling you, for $25 a week, 8 weeks.
Can't go wrong.
And you get up and have fun, and you're playing with the greatest masters of the game. And, of course, you shoot the old gooseneck shot.
We shoot the gooseneck. That's right. Yeah, and that's when kids come to our program. That's one thing we get. If there's an emphasis, of course, it's on shooting. People in New Mexico know my repertoire. I was a shooter. So when they come to our program, we make sure they get that gooseneck in. Lock out, get the gooseneck in.
Just
that's
like
it.
That.
Right
Lock
there.
It in, man.
Bam, baby.
Lock it in.
Lock it in. That's right.
Lock it in. The gooseneck.
The gooseneck.
There's nothing.
Or we tell them, like you little kid, you reaching in the cookie jar. Reaching that cookie jar.
And, of course, defense.
Defense. We stress defense.
I remember going to Bob King's basketball camp, and the first day we just played defense.
Yeah.
We moved our feet and moved around. But you know what? When I got into high school, defense wins ball games.
Big defense wins. And of course, you said Bob King. We did the same thing with Norm Ellenberger. He was Bob's assistant.
Right.
The first 2 weeks of when I came here, we never touched the basketball. I didn't know what sport we were playing. We just did defense.
So here's the story. Back when I was in the 8th grade, I wanted to go to Bob King's basketball camp, and it was sold out. And so I got it. I looked in the phone book where Bob King lived, and I lived over by Winrock. So I rode my bike over to Bob King's house. I knocked on the door, and I brought my sleeping bag. I said, Bob, I can sleep on the floor. And Bob took me in, and I slept on his couch at the camp in Durango.
Oh, man.
So
you were motivated.
Then I wanted to go, and then when he found out my name was Martin Luther Watts Jr., he thought I was the second coming of Christ.
That's a good story,
But that's how bad I wanted to go.
That's right. That's committed. You were committed.
Did we have fun? between basketball practice, we played ping pong, pool.
Right.
We sang songs together. It was kind of like a.
Well, you're building team spirit. You building spirit, camaraderie, which you need to have on a team.
Exactly.
Yep.
But we've got Santa Fe Indian, 45, St. Mike's 35.
Oh, man.
With a minute left. There must be 9,000 people.
It's a good crowd here. It is. Whoa, look at that. Wow, that's excellent.
This is what you remember.
No, this is it right here.
This is exactly what Marvin remembers.
Make it happen in 1978. We made it happen.
Now, is it worth to become a basketball player, play in the pit? If you want to play in the pit and learn the fundamentals, go to Southwest SWBBcamp.net.
And what's the phone number again?
505-710-7005.
And we're going to be doing camps throughout northern New Mexico this summer. So we're going to come into your town, Santa Fe.
Can you imagine one day you could be out there?
Yeah, possibly. It's a possibility. You could be out there.
So anyway, we're about to break for the show, but I want to thank you, Marvin. And listen, he's a legend. I'm just a gringo trying to make ends meet, but I'm with the legend. Marvin, Automatic Johnson.
Always good
How
talking
about the gooseneck?
Yeah, we've got the gooseneck, baby.
Gooseneck, baby.
Right there.
All right.
Proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the South.